Okay, it says in the first parak of Pirkei Avos, Mishnah Daled, Yosi ben Yoazar ish Seredo, Yosi ben Yochanan ish Yerushalayim Kibbutz Lahem. So they received it from them. We have the tradition going. Yosi ben Yoazar ish Seredo Omer Hi Beisecha Beis V'Avach Chachamim. Person's house should be a house of gathering for the Chachamim, for the wise people. Vavi Misabik Ba'afar Raglehem, and a person should become dusty from the dirt of their feet. And drink their words with thirst.
Is that like similar to like the concept like the tzaddik saviris or like on its twist? Like they're the dust of their feet is like we should want the dust of their feet.
That's what we're going to discuss right now. So let's
not the dust of their feet, the dirt of their feet. Why dust? Dirt?
Correct. It says dirt.
I know, but
it says get dusty from the dirt of the feet.
From their dust.
That's correct.
It's got to be included in the dirt.
There will be. There will be. So let's just set up all the questions first.
This abek is lashon of dust, and then it switches from dust to dirt.
Correct. Correct. So let's set up the questions over here. First of all,
just listen to it in this mission. That's fine.
Good. So I have a lot to add. Good. So let's just set up the questions over here. First of all, why should one's house be wide open for Talmidei Chachamim? Right? For the smart people, scholars, Talmidei Chachamim. Second of all, why is it better? This is kind of a tangent, and this is another shir in of itself, but why is it better? What's pshat in the Gemara and Brachos on Daf Zayin, Gedol Shemusha Yosim Limudo? It's better to serve a Talmid Chacham than learn from a Talmid Chacham. Why is that so? And what does it mean to get dusty from the dirt of their feet? And what does, and this is my favorite part of the mission probably, you should drink from their words with thirst mean? It's the explanation. Water. Yeah, okay. Torah's water, drink. What's the thirst business? A lot of different reasons for that. And why is the Torah being compared to drinking? Why does it have to be done with thirst? And is there any shaykhus connection between these statements of the Mishnah and then just some random points over here? Okay, so let's start from the beginning. Why should a person's house be wide open for Talmidei Chachamim? So Rav Jimmy Bartanur explains that person should try to be, his house is going to be the house. That's where everyone's going to go. And when a person makes that his house to be the meeting place, to be the spot, so then he's certainly going to gain from the Talmidei Chachamim that are over there.
But everybody can't make that house.
Correct. So that's why a person's kind of try to do what he could to make his house the spot, if it's possible, and he's able to do it.
The Torah is for all types, so
it is.
Everybody's house is like this.
It is. And you should try to make, if you're capable of doing so, your house the gathering spot, if it's possible.
You can't have like 5 people who are next door neighbors, like each of them is the spot.
That's right. And it's brought down also in different halachas to be the first one there. You're the first guy in shul, you get reward. So you'll say everyone could be, you're right. But you get there first so that you'll be before everyone else. You do what you could. What do you mean?
The next guy can't.
You're right. So that's why you try to get there earlier. You be the first one in the base medrash. All right. So Bartanur says that when you walk into a perfume store, a cologne store, even if you don't buy anything, you're going to smell like that. It's the same thing when you're around Talmidei Chachamim. So now with this, we could connect all the statements of the Mishnah. When you open your house for Talmidei Chachamim, you're automatically going to get dusty from the dirt of their feet. You're automatically going to drink from their words. That's the shaykhs between them. You're automatically going to learn something. Now, by allowing Talmidei Chachamim access to one's house, one will learn from their actions and their words. And now let's just digress over here off of the daf of the Mishnah, so to say, in the standard Mefarshim, to this Gemara in Brachos on Daf Zayin. The Gemara over there talks about how Elisha, the pasuk says, he poured water on the hands of Eliyahu, right? And the Gemara over there learns from that episode, Gedol Shemusha Yosim Limudo. It's better to serve a Talmid Chacham than learn from him. The truth is, this is all borrowed from a shir that I gave on Yeshua on the first parak, this idea. Why was Yeshua the one to take over Moshe Rabbeinu? Also discussed a little bit in the first mission of Pirkei Avos. So the question is, why is it better to serve a Talmid Chacham and learn from it? Seemingly, learning, when you learn, you're learning, you're getting a lot of wisdom. So suggest over here 6 answers, and if you know of any more, please add. Marsha says there's a lot of topics that you can learn from a Talmid Chacham that just aren't applicable at all. Lumdus, etc. Right? It's not applicable. When a person serves a Talmid Chacham, every single thing that you see is applicable, right? The way the Talmid Chacham speaks, the way he moves, everything that he does, he's a walking Sefer Torah. He's better than a Sefer Torah. Talmid Chacham's even better because he defines the Torah like we know from Makos. The Torah says, you get 40 lashes. The Gemara Machal says the Talmid Chachamim, they said that that's 39. So they rule over the Torah. On Sukkot, we take the lulav and we circle around the bima. On Simchas Torah, what do? We take the Torah and we circle around the bima. So, what's the pshat over here? The pshat over here is that, right? On Sukkot, the Torah is in the middle. We're not holding the Torah yet. But when the time it comes to Simchas Torah, we become like the Sefer Torah. That's why we take it with us. It becomes nivla b'damenu, becomes part of our blood, part of our limbs. That's a Talmud Chacham, a walking Sefer Torah. That's why we take the Sefer Torah, to allude to that, to become a walking Sefer Torah. And that's the pshat in the Gemara Makos, that people are so foolish. It's the Gemara in Makos and Chafal, that people are foolish. They stand up when a Sefer Torah comes. When a Talmud Chacham comes, they don't stand up. How foolish is that? That's the explanation over here, because he's a walking Sefer Torah. It's the same thing. This idea I saw in the Kuntres Binyani Simchas Torah and Hoshana Rabbah on pages 77 78, Rabbi Krellenstein's farm. That idea. Answer number 2, why it's better to serve a Talmud Chacham. So that answer is because everything's applicable. Answer number 2, Yalkut Mefarshim on the Gemara and Brachos over there quotes the Maras Chiyatz, who says that when you see something firsthand, you remember it more than if you just heard something verbally. When you hear something, it could come in one year, go out the next. When you see it firsthand, that will make an impression, will make a roshim on someone. That's basically what the Marsha says. There's a beautiful, not so known set of Sfarim, and I got it in Shas, called Nitzutzi Hashas. Also a similar Sefer Margilos Hashas. Excellent Sfarim. I don't know all of them. The Margilos Hashas has many more volumes, like 20 volumes. And over there on that Gemara, he says that someone who learns or attends a shir, he's only learning about one topic. When you're serving Talmud Chacham, who's mamish holding in the sugyas, and he spent his entire life learning the sugyas, you're going to learn from a lot of topics, and it's all going to be halacha l'maisa. Another explanation is someone who serves his Rebbe, he's going to see how his Rebbe interacts with other people. When you just learn, you're learning from Svarim, that's very nice. But l'maisa, it's just from the Svarim. There's no social skills, there's no interpersonal relationships, how a person's going to act towards others. So therefore, that can't be learned from books. So that's why it's very important to serve the Talmud Chacham, because you get that. Answer number 5. The Gra and the Chedusha, Gra and the Imri Noam Brachos explains, based on another mission of Avos, it says, Lo ha-medrash hu ha-ikra ala ha-maisa. That learning isn't the main thing, it's the action. If a person is just learning, but it's not leading to action, he's missing the boat and the point. Someone who's serving his Rebbe sees how the practical halacha is being applied. Someone who wants to learn practical halacha has to be smart and learn it with a tremendous amount of hasmada and depth, toil a lot. That's much more difficult. When you're just hearing from your Rebbe, it's much easier, it's much quicker. As side point, Lo ha-medrash hu ha-ikra ala ha-maisa, Rabbi Galinsky jokes, and he says, people don't care about, they don't want to hear a whole shir. They don't want to hear all the Torahs of Lumdis. Ela ha-maisa, they just want to hear a story. Lo ha-medrash hu ha-ikra. But anyways, answer number 6, serving in Talmud Chacham leads to Yiras Hashem, fearing Hashem. And the mission of Avos says, there's another mission of Avos, see how it gets tied in nicely all together in the third parak. Anyone whose fear of Hashem comes before his Torah wisdom, his wisdom will last, it will endure, and the opposite is also true. Therefore, it's better to serve than to learn from a Talmud Chacham, to tap in to that Yiras Shamayim. That's the Kedusha Bracha. Okay, another point she mentioned is that by serving Talmud Chacham, you also enable him to learn more Torah also. In addition from the Torah that you're going to learn from the Talmud Chacham, that's a side point. So, yeah. So that's the idea over here. Now, one's house is going to be blessed in the merit of having Talmid Chacham there. When Aaron went to Obed Edom's house, the whole house and everything about him became blessed. That's in Sefer Shmuel, Beis, Perek Vav, Pasuk, Yud, Beis. Yeah, tremendous bracha came. If someone's house gets blessed from hosting an Aaron, then Kal V'chomer, for sure, for having Talmid Chachamim. That, by the way, is an explicit Gemara at the end of Brachos on Samach Gimel Beis. And this is also what happened to Yosef. When Yosef went to Potiphar's house, the entire house became blessed. That's what we see. It was in his zechus that it was blessed. That's in Bereshis Lamed Tes Hey. The Marcheves HaMishnah lists many benefits that one gets for making his house the place for Talmid Chachamim. Number 1, you're going to learn from their actions, as the pasuk says. People who go with wise people will become wise. That's in Mishle Yud Gimel Chaf. Number 2, the house will become tahor, pure, and the Shekhinah will dwell there. Number 3, the house will be blessed with boys, he says, and success. Kind of ironic after I just had a 4th girl last week.
You did?
And, yeah. 4th girl, yeah, no boys.
Under like
Good.
When is it?
Yeah, it was in the 8 o'clock meeting in the shower. Number 4, one will merit that in the future that he will be in the presence of these other Talmidei Chachamim. This I saw in the Mesivta in the Biur Hapshah, footnote 56, the Mesivta on Avos. Rabbi Avram, the Gro's brother, explains this Mishnah, when it says that your house should be, I live this. This Mishnah that says that your house should be a gathering place for Talmidei Chachamim, who's a Chacham? You get your wisdom from where? Svarim. So it should be a gathering place, meaning you have a lot of Svarim in your house. What? Yeah, I'll send this to you after. I'll email you the whole thing.
No, let's go. Was that?
Oh, okay. We'll talk about that.
Everywhere.
I got, you know how many Svarim?
Was that picture?
Like a fuel to your house.
Whenever you want.
Was that picture your house?
I do, but whenever you
Is
want.
that picture that you showed John in your house? Or?
This is my Svarim room at home.
Yeah, I thought it was your house.
So
That's my room.
That's your room or basement?
This is my house. This is my
Yeah, I
house.
thought it was the basement.
This is one of the rooms. They didn't all fit in the room.
Did you have that?
Yeah, my wife painted that on the top. Agisa bo Yom V'Layla.
This Thursday night we're gonna have.
Whenever. I do. I do.
Motch's father gonna sponsor.
They couldn't all fit in that room. The only reason we bought our house, looked at it 5 years ago. We were driving around the neighborhood. I said, that looks like a nice house. We walked in the thing. There was one room on the first floor that it was an enclosed room. It could probably just about fit this farm. It fits everything except for 5 shells. So this could fit most of this farm.
And
That
you
was
didn't
5
need.
years ago.
Yeah, that's 5 years. So we gotta get the house. This is a good room.
Yeah, it's like the whole
First floor.
floor scroll like
That's all we got.
library.
Yeah. Okay, good. I do. More the better. Similarly, Rabbi Chaim Pologi explains that if someone hosts many Talmidei Chachamim, Pologi, okay.
He's a big brother.
Oh yeah, okay, Falaji. So he has to have Svarim and a designated area for them. That's what it says. This I saw also in the Mesivta in the Al Kapirim, section page 35. What does it mean to get dusty from the dirt of their feet? Bartanura says you gotta follow them. Someone what?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're learning over here. Very good, very good.
We've been dealing with that.
So
for the past 15
he
minutes.
came late, so very good. It's you have to figure out what we're doing because sometimes we tangent so much. Okay, we try to stay focused though. Bartanura explains that this means that you should follow them. Bartanura. Someone who walks, you walk in an area that isn't paved. Over here, everything's paved, but you go in an out-of-town place, it's not, or camp. So you get dust that gets kicked up. So when you walk behind that dust, you'll get dusty. That's what you got to do. Hang around the Chachamim. The Avos Rabbi Nosson, which is the Medrash on Pirkei Avos. What? If you want to call me a Chacham. It says in the Avos Rabbi Nosson in Perek Vav, Os Aleph, that this line in the Mishnah refers to when a Talmid Chacham comes to the city and he's going to give a shir. Don't say you don't got to see him. No. Go to him and listen to everything that comes out of his mouth and accept it with fear. The Rambam says, this is the Rambam in Hilchos Deos, Perek Vav, Halacha Beis, that it's a positive mitzvah for a person to attach himself to a Talmid Chacham in order to learn from him. The Gemara says, that a person should attach to Hashem. So how is that possible? The Gemara says. So the Gemara goes into this, and it says by attaching ourselves to Talmidei Chachamim, it's as if we attach ourselves to Hashem. And this is why we have to try to marry our son to the daughter of a Talmid Chacham. And we want to marry the daughter of a Talmid Chacham. We try to eat and drink with Talmidei Chachamim, do business with them, attach ourselves to them in all possible ways. Gemara Pesachim Mem Test that talks about this. Try to do everything with Talmidei Chachamim. That's the idea over here. Now, what does it mean we should drink from their words with thirst? With thirst. This is probably one of my favorite parts of the mission over here. The Torah is compared to water, like you said before. To learn Tainas Daf Zayin, many other places. Ein mayim ela Torah, right? Rabbeinu Yoina, he quotes the following pasuk in Mishlei. This is in Chav Zayin Zayin. Nefesh sava tafus noifes v'neshef rava kol mar masak. Someone, a soul that is satiated and satisfied, he will trample on honeycomb, whereas a soul that is hungry, anything that is bitter, will be very, very sweet. So comes along the Talmid, the Rabbeinu Yonah, excuse me, Talmid Rabbeinu Yonah, comes along the Rabbeinu Yonah and says, someone who's satisfied with the Torah that he learned, and he doesn't want to learn more, he can hear the biggest chiddush, he's going to just step on the thing, he's going to trample on it. But someone who's hungry for more Torah and he desires more, he'll hear it. Even if it's not such a geschmack idea, it's a simple idea. He wants to hear it because he knows it's true. There's a very interesting Gemara in the beginning of Kitzim Avarkim and Lamed Hey in Brachos. And the Gemara over there says that when it comes to Yayin, Tuva Megari Grier, Pruta Mesoid Soid. A little bit of wine, if a person drinks, it will fill a person up. A person will be satisfied, satiated. But a little bit, that's a little bit. But a lot of wine that will cause an appetite. So there's already a bare halacha that picks up on this. That it's not true. It's in the beginning of like right before the halachas of the Seder, around Siman Tuf Ayin Aleph over there. There's a bare halacha right over there. Tuf Ayin Aleph, one of those simanim over there. And he says it's not true. The Mitzvah has changed. It used to be that way. It's not true anyway. So I remember the Rosh Hashiva of Shar Yosher, Rabbi Yeager, used to quote this Gemara and used to say the Torah is also compared to wine. And hashkafically, a deeper idea is someone who learns a little bit of Torah, he checks the box off, the Kovei Itim box, he learns a little bit of Torah, he'll be satisfied, he'll be satiated, he's good. But someone who has a lot of wine, who experiences learning a lot of Torah, that's going to bring more of a desire. It's never enough. He'll always want to have more. That's the idea over here. Same thing with the Chiddush side point. Comes along the Avos to Rabbi Nosson. It's one of my all-time favorite parts of the Avos to Rabbi Nosson, the entire Sefer. The Avos to Rabbi Nosson says that this line of the Mishnah, the Avos to Rabbi Nosson says that this line of the Mishnah refers to none other than Rabbi Akiva, my favorite rabbis of all time. That's why I put up a Rabbi Akiva playlist already. What was the beginning of Rabbi Akiva, says the Avos Rabbi Nosson? This is the history story about Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva, well known, he was 40 years old, he didn't learn anything. He stood by a well and he said, the water, there was a rock, it was chiseled, and he said, what's going on? Who did this? And they said, oh, it was slowly after time it happened. And then it chiseled through. Rabbi Akiva made his first Kal V'chomer. He said, oh, if something soft water could penetrate, could make a hole through something hard than a rock, then for sure something that's very hard, aka the Torah is kasha kabarzel, hard like metal, like iron, can make a hole in my heart. You see that even Amma Aretz, someone who, which is also discussed in the same Gemara Pesachim Mem Tes, someone who is an Amma Aretz still, you use your brain, you could get something, you start somewhere. And that's what the Avos Rabbi Nosson says over here. And then he decided he was going to learn, right? He started learning. So he went to with his son, and it's pointed out over here. You see that Rabbi Akiva already had a son from a previous marriage, not from Rachel, the daughter of Kaval Sivua. And he went to the children Rebbe, and he said, Rebbe, teach me. Taught him the Aleph Beis, and he went through it till he learned the whole Torah. And then the Avos Rabbi Nosson says, we see that now when a person goes to Shemayim and was asked, did you set time to learn? They're going to say, I was poor. Oh, you were poor? Rabbi Akiva was poor. He spent time to learn. Oh, you had kids? Rabbi Akiva had children. He had time to learn. No excuse. That's the Avos Rabbi Nosson. And that's what this mission is referring to drink with the words with thirst. Rabbi Akiva humbled himself to go in front of a kindergarten teacher, whatever it is, to learn the Aleph Beis with a bunch of kids, to learn the Aleph Beis. That's humility. That's how you learn Torah. One of the 48 ways to acquire the Torah is humility. If we have more time, I'll go back, say some shatim on the story. I want to get through this whole Mishnah. Why are the words of Talmidei Chachamim being compared to drinking? So the Sefer Tiferes Svi, and I saw this quoted by the Mesivta in the Alpha Pure on page 41, explains that the nature of a person is that he's not embarrassed to ask his friend, oh, can I have some water? But he's going to be embarrassed to ask for food. So the Mishnah is telling us we can't be embarrassed. If we want to ask, oh, tell me, what'd you learn in the yeshiva? What'd you learn in the base measure? Can't be embarrassed for it. Why do we have to drink with thirst? Why specifically thirst? 5 answers. Rabbeinu Bechaya explains, and I just saw this Rabbeinu Bechaya inside today due to the amazing technology of the Otzar Chachma. Beautiful Rabbeinu Bechaya. He basically says that the thirstier someone is, the more pleasant the drink will be. And the same applies to, think about it, when you're really, really thirsty on a hot day, the drink will be so much better. And the same applies to Torah. The more that one approaches the Torah with a thirst and a desire to learn, the more pleasant it's going to be when he learns. Answer number 2. The Sefer Magin Elohim explains that one has to be thirsty and a desire to learn Torah in order to remember what a person learns. You see people, they're just doing it because their wife's making them come learn, their parents making them come, their Rebbe's making them do it. They're not going to remember what they learned. They're not interested. Someone who comes with a desire, he wants it, he's thirsty for it, then he's going to remember it more. Same thing with Torah, that the thirstier one comes, the more he's going to desire to drink, and the same thing with Torah, the more beneficial it'll be. Answer 3, Medrash Shmuel, excellent sefer on the whole Pirkei Avos, not Medrash, just to call Medrash Shmuel, it's a Likut sefer collected from rabbis, and what they say, that sometimes the Talmud Chacham, he's going to say a Chiddush. He'll come to your house. You already know the Chiddush. Don't tell him you know that, because it's going to embarrass him. Rather, drink it with thirsty as a side point. Drink it with thirst as a side point. Could be that he's going to present the information slightly differently than you saw it from a sefer or heard it the first time also. Different versions. Answer number 4, and the Vilna Gaon talks about this also in another place. The Vilna Gaon says that all the pleasures of this world is like drinking salt water. The more you're involved with the pleasures just for the sake of pleasure, the thirstier you're going to get. That salt water, the more you drink it, the thirstier you're going to get. So comes along the Vilna Gaon's brother, Rabbi Avram, yet again, and he says when you drink salt water, you get thirstier. When we drink the words for Talmidei Chachamim, we have to drink it like we're drinking salt water. We keep getting thirstier. We want more and more. Every single idea, we have to hear more and more and more, desire to learn more. Answer 5, the Sefer Darchi Chaim V'Shalom explains that we have to continue learning Torah even if we're actually thirsty. This is a beautiful idea. This only really happens to people who sit down and learn straight for a couple of hours. The Sefer Yosher says that the way to be masaking the pagam, how do we fix the blemish for improper speech, lashon hara, or other forms of improper speech? It's when we're thirsty, when we're in the middle of learning, continue learning without getting the drink. That will fix any type of improper speech that we did. That's what it's saying over here. Drink with thirst. That's a beautiful idea. Continue learning, meaning the Torah is the drink the Torah with the thirst. Don't worry about the actual beverage over there. That's the idea over here. That I saw in the Masifta and the Al Kapurim on pages 41 to 43. Lastly, let me come back to the episode of the Rebbe Akiva, and then one miscellaneous. What's the shaykhus between all of these mamers in the Mishnah over here? We have 3 statements over here. We have opening the house wide, the dust, the dirt, and then the thirst. What's the connection between the 3? So first, a basic introduction is that the Gemara in Brachos on Yudam and Aleph as well in Yevamos Tatal, it says Smuchim min haTorah miyayin. Talks about the juxtaposition of 2 parshios. If 2 parshios are next to each other, there's significance to that. There's meaning to that. That's what the Gemara says. And there's also, in addition, significance behind 2 starim of Mishnayos next to each other. If you're more curious, take a look at Taisvus at the end of Moed Katan and the Taisvus Yeshanim in the beginning of Maseches Yevamos, which is explaining the connection between Moed and Nashim. So we see also Siddar. Also, there's significance behind Masechtas, why they're next to each other. And, for sure, Kal V'chomer statements in a Mishnah. So what then is the connection between the 2? So very rarely do I have a chiddush. This over here is Nira Lefi and Yistaiti. There's something that I came up with around 10 years ago when I first came up with this idea. But deep, what? No, I don't have one. But I think it was from around 10 years ago when it's from. One's house should be open wide for Talmidei Chachamim. It's not enough if the house is open wide and the Talmidei Chachamim are in one room and we're in another room. No. Rather, we have to get dusty. How do we get dusty? We go to the room where they are. We have to listen to everything that they say, even the seemingly mundane speech. The Gemara in Sukkah says that on Chaf Alpha Beis that we have to learn even and study even the mundane speech for Talmidei Chachamim. Right? And just finish the idea first. Even afterwards, when we study that speech, we still have to drink with thirst. Meaning, even after we were with these Talmidei Chachamim, we still have to want more. We still have to be thirsty after that. Perhaps that's one explanation. I saw also the Baal Shem Tov is quoted in the Masifta and the Al Kapurim on pages 43 that says that the dust on the feet refers to the mundane speech. Dust is secondary. It's something that we pick up when we walk. It attaches to us. The mundane speech also secondary. The primary is the actual Torah. Even so, we have to listen to the mundane speech because sometimes those statements will practically apply to us as well. And there's what to learn from all aspects of life. That's answer number 1. Answer number 2. The Marcheves Mishnah offers another explanation and says that even though these Talmidei Chachamim are eating on our table, we can't disgrace them. sometimes it's a way for people who are ignorant. They're going to mistreat Talmidei Chachamim when they are causing them to get pleasure. When they're giving something to the Talmidei Chachamim, they might mistreat them and think, "Oh, and now I own them. Oh, and now I pay for them and I can do this." No, it's not true. So make sure not to mistreat them. That's a deeper idea over here. Perhaps a connection. Answer number 3, the Rebbe Shoshan. This is quoted in the Masifta footnote 58. Explains. We might say, wait a second. If we're gonna have our house being a gathering place, it's gonna be a mess over here. It's gonna be dust, maybe some dirt, right? It's gonna be a mess to clean up. No. Don't let that bother you. And even if because of the dust, it will cause you to get thirsty. No. Drink their words. Don't drink that dust. Right? Don't drink. Stay away from that water still. Drink their words. That's the most important. I thought that was a very funny shot. The Sefer, the Mesifti Al Kabir on pages 40 to 41 quotes the Dorish, the Perakim, who quotes the Maharal, who says there are 3 reasons why people might not want to, or they say, nah, we shouldn't host the Talmidei Chachamim at our place. Number 1, there's not enough room, small place. Number 2, when guests come, they make a mess. Number 3, the Talmud also might give Musar, you might give rebuke. The Mishnah says that no, we have to open our house. Open our house, even if you don't have a lot of room. Get dusty. Don't worry about the dust that they bring in, similar to before, and drink. Meaning, drink all the words that they have to say, even if it's Musar. Everything. Answer number 5. Rav Jimmy Bartanur, we already said that one. Done. 2 miscellaneous points, then come back to the Rabbi Akiva statement. The Sefer Yados Ephraim, and this is quoted in the Masifti in the Al Kabir on page 37, explains that someone who opens his house to Talmidei Chachamim and attaches himself to them, he will merit fearing Hashem. It's perhaps now we could explain the previous mission, which at the end of the mission, the whole mission says, That's what the previous mission said, right? Don't serve Hashem in order to receive reward, and the fear of heaven should be upon you. So the question is, don't serve Hashem for reward. It says in many psukim, many places in Chazal, that they did. It talks about the reward for certain mitzvahs. The Gemara Brachos Kavches talks about the Rabbi Zever, Ki Havi Chalish Migirsi, when he was sick. He said, I'm going to go and I'm going to go in front of the base medrash of Rav Nassim Bar Tuvia, Pischad the Rav Nassim Bar Tuvia, and when I see the Talmidei Chachamim, I'm going to get up from in front of them and I'm going to receive schar. This is talking about when he was too weak, he couldn't focus to learn Torah. He said, I'm going to stand in front of the yeshiva. When I stand up in front of the Talmidei Chachamim, I'll receive reward. How could he say I'm receiving reward? So there's a lot of answers that we presented on that Mishnah. The Sfas Emes said that he was only doing that to receive the reward of now Mida Keneged Mida. By him honoring Talmidei Chachamim, he will get now some sort of him fearing Talmidei Chachamim. He's going to get now Yireh Shamayim, fear of heaven, fear of Hashem. So we see that that type of reward you're allowed to get. So therefore, that's the idea over here, that what the Yados Ephraim says, that someone who opens his house to the Talmidei Chachamim, attach himself to them, he's going to merit fearing Hashem. That perhaps could be a tie-in to the previous Mishnah. One side point from this whole Mishnah, which is an interesting question that no one would think of, the Gemara in Sanhedrin on Kuf says that one should refrain from having a lot of people at his house. That's what it says. Ben Sira said, don't have a lot of people. How could we reconcile that Gemara with this Mishnah? Seems like it's saying the exact opposite thing. So the Tiferes Yisrael explains that the Gemara in Sanhedrin refers to private areas in your house, such as a parent's bedroom. No, that's private. Whereas this Mishnah is referring to not the private areas in the house. Answer 2, Rabbi Yamna Cohen, the Gvul Ben Yamin explains that many friends constantly coming over could lead to arguments, problems, even disliking one another. That's what the Gemara is referring to. Too much. However, a friend who is like a brother, who you know is very close, he certainly should come over. So could be another difference. Answer 3, the Al-Qadar Geshoni explains that this Mishnah refers to a specific gathering room in the house, unlike the Gemara, which says it's a free-for-all in the whole house. This was in the Mesifta Al Libed El Chasa section, page 4 in the Pnimi Halacha. So just to come back to exactly how is it possible to make a person's house, original question, a gathering place? It's difficult. Practically, it's tough. A lot of times, they say that nowadays you see Rosh Yeshivas, all sorts of people coming from Eretz Yisrael, or even Rosh Yeshivas here. Rosh Kollel's coming to house. You invite them, be nice to them, some sort of gathering. if possible, maybe a shear in a house, whatever. If it's not shy to do in a shul, so gotta assess the situation. But the basic idea from this is to be around Talmidei Chachamim, right? There's a saying that goes, "You are what you eat, and what comes out of you is what you eat also," right? And there's another statement of, "You are what you hear, you are what you see, and you are what you read. You are what you watch." That's what it is. So the idea is good environment. That's another whole discussion of itself. That's basically what the message of this is. Good environment, showing respect. Just one horror on this whole episode with Rabbi Akiva, one of my favorite old-time stories that gives me a tremendous amount of chizuk. People have asked me over the years why I like sit so long and just focus on just learning. Especially in the summer, people tend to ask me. This is before I was married also, and I was just staying with people all day, and I wouldn't move. So I tell them this Rebbe Akiva gave me a lot of chizuk. I mean, there's a lot of things that gave me the chizuk, but this Rebbe Akiva thing, they asked a question of Rebbe Akiva. What was it that fueled Rebbe Akiva to learn for so many years straight? What gave him the ability to focus for 24 years straight, leave his wife, of course, with their permission, to learn straight? What made him do that decision? It was just a rock. It was just a little hole in the rock. That's what did it. A little water in the rock. So there's a question that's asked about this rock. What was it? Was it the first drop that went into the rock? No, that didn't cause anything. Was it just the last drop? Just one drop came and then it was a hole? Was it drop after drop after drop? The answer is it was the latter. Rabbi Akiva realized that it was. This is what the Vilna Gaon says. I didn't see it inside. I saw it quoted. It was drop after drop after drop after drop. He realized that this is what caused it. Drop after drop. The water is like Torah. Rabbi Akiva realized that it's not just it's going to happen at once. The beginnings are hard, but every single drop of Torah matters. Every single word of Torah that a person learns matters, and it builds. It's like a building. You look nowadays at these skyscrapers in New York City that they're putting up, the 100-story buildings. The billionaires are all right by Central Park, right? And you look at it, it doesn't take 2 days to build that. They've got teams of hundreds of workers. It takes months and months and months. The bigger the building, the bigger the foundation, the deeper you got to go. It takes a tremendous amount of time. So Rabbi Jonathan Reed quotes in the Sefer Woman and Masim, he says that there was a story of a king who came along and he said, "Whoever climbs this tower will marry my daughter, will be the next king, and will inherit half of the kingdom." So everyone naturally lines up. They all want it. And they're all going and climbing. And it's a very big tower. And they didn't realize how many steps were in between each level. By the 50th, already half of them are out. By the 60th, by the 70th, they said, "How are we going to get up? We can't do the whole thing. How are we going to get up? It was 1,000 stories. How are we going to get up?" By the 90th, they were all out. What they didn't realize was that the 100th floor, there was an elevator that went right up. That's the siyata d'shmaya that a person gets when they learn a lot. That's what Rabbi Akiva realized. In the beginning, it's going to be tough. There's a whole world out there. There's a whole Torah. But it's every single drop. That's what fueled Rabbi Akiva. That's what gave him the chizuk to learn straight, to get going. No, also there's other things. What fueled me also is I started learning, and I said, "This is interesting." And I didn't put down the phone. That's what it was. And when a person learns, he has to realize he's bringing good upon himself and everyone who he interacts with also. That's what he has to realize. That's the mission of us. Questions, comments?
Um,
How much did I do? All right.